Beneath AI's dazzling breakthroughs lies a hidden architecture of control. As we peel back the layers, a different story begins to emerge. Pioneering AI labs, like Anthropic, don't own their own computing infrastructure. They're tenants, renting space inside someone else's digital fortress. When Anthropic fully leased SpaceX and xAI's Colossus One in Memphis, it became clear. The true power in AI lies not in building models, but in controlling the infrastructure they depend on. The real power in AI doesn't belong to those building the models, but to those who own the chips, data centers, energy, and political access that make it possible. Just as railroads and oil once defined the limits of progress, AI's true bottleneck isn't about ideas. It's about who controls the rails of production. When compute is hoarded by just a few, four fault lines start to emerge: volatile pricing, constrained capacity, stifled competition, and politicized access. You see, the market's strength isn't broad at all. It's really built on just a few mega-cap stocks, hiding a fragile, undiversified economy underneath. Profits flow into AI capital spending, which boosts infrastructure revenues, and then that inflates stock prices, fueling the cycle all over again. Now, when Washington treats AI like railroads or electricity, it's not a vote of confidence. It's an admission that private markets can't handle this alone. The U.S. government is no longer just watching from the sidelines. Through partnerships with NVIDIA and plans for sovereign AI, it's stepping in to secure what private markets can't handle alone. In contrast to the New Deal, which built public infrastructure for all, today's AI subsidies risk cementing private monopolies with taxpayer money. In the AI age, the market celebrates stock gains, but real growth requires decentralization. Critical thinking means questioning who truly controls the rails. In the same way we learned with crypto, we shouldn't get tricked by the front-end buzz. We have to ask who's really in charge of the rails: issuance, custody, settlement, and now, who controls the chips, the power, and the data centers. In AI's new economy, the real winners aren't the flashy model makers. They're the landlords, chip giants, cloud hyperscalers, and data center operators who collect rent no matter which tenant rises or falls. AI model labs aren't like typical software companies. They're capital-intensive tenants, leasing compute they don't own, and operating under obligations that often remain unclear. You might think index funds are neutral, but in reality, they're quietly placing a huge bet on just a few AI giants and the government policies that help keep those companies soaring. In the end, fortunes won't go to whoever builds the cleverest algorithm, but to those who own the bottlenecks every AI must pass through. No matter how high valuations rise, true and lasting power rests with those who control the chips, the data centers, and the energy that fuels them. It turns out, the real power isn't in the models themselves. It's in who controls the energy, the chips, the data centers, the contracts, and the political access. Here's the twist. Even open-source AI models depend on closed infrastructure, trained on rented GPUs from just a few cloud giants, quietly reinforcing control beneath the surface of openness. Anthropic builds cutting-edge AI models, yet it doesn't own a single GPU. It leases them all. Much like a store operating in a mall it doesn't own, its future depends on landlords who control the power, space, and pricing. Anthropic's exclusive lease of Colossus One isn't just a real estate deal. It shows that what really matters for AI's future is who controls the physical infrastructure, not just the algorithms. While model makers dominate the headlines, True control over AI actually lies with those who own the chips, the data centers, the energy, and the attention of policymakers. Think about it. When one chip maker supplies 95% of AI accelerators, every breakthrough model is essentially a tenant on their silicon estate. Just as railroad barons once dictated the routes of commerce, today's hyperscalers now control the GPU clusters that every AI company depends on. Subscribe on Substack to cut through the hype and discover who truly holds the reins of AI's future.